Hey guys, I'm Leela from Uku-Lela Therapy, and a few years ago I did a video on 5 of my favorite counseling metaphors, and today I'm going to share with you 5 more of my favorite counseling metaphors that I've been using in my counseling sessions with clients, and I hope that they can be helpful or interesting to you, so stay tuned. The first one is thinking of your brain as a forest. So think about your brain as a forest with different paths. There's the paths that are paved away and that are easy to go down. That's kind of where we gravitate in our brains, the things that we've walked many times. So these are kind of like habits that we've built. If we want to form new pathways in our brain, we got to make a new path. And these might be a little harder and a little more tedious to build. We might have to walk through them a few times, chop through some branches. And this is how we build new neural pathways and neural connections in our brain, is repetition and practicing doing things differently. This can be thought of a lot in terms of like negative thinking patterns, if we're used to thinking about things in a negative way, or just any kind of habit or any kind of change we make in general. The next metaphor is called the radio doom and gloom metaphor used in the acceptance and commitment therapy model. So imagine your mind as a radio that's always playing. We can't quite turn it off. It's just kind of there. Things are going to come up and thoughts happen. Some stations are helpful, some stations are not so helpful. So imagine you're just driving along, listening to the radio, if anyone even listens to the radio anymore, and some commercials come on and you kind of just zone out. Like it's still there, but you're not really like putting the attention on it. You're not really focusing on it. And you're kind of just thinking about something else. And then all of a sudden your favorite song comes on and you turn it up and you start jamming out. So this is kind of how thoughts work. We can't always turn them off, but we can shift our attention, or we can kind of just let them play without having too much of an impact on us. And I like this metaphor because sometimes positive thinking kind of feels like adding in a second radio and just trying to like drown out the other radio, and then it just sounds worse, and it's too loud. So if we are able to still have the thoughts anyway, but not really put a lot of focus on them, sometimes that can feel like a more manageable way of approaching thoughts. Just because of the nature of how thoughts are, like they're gonna come up. Negative thoughts are gonna come up. We're never gonna be able to 100% get rid of negative thoughts. So if we can change our relationship with them, and sometimes that's an easier, more manageable way of dealing with them. Third metaphor is called the love bank. Love bank is something I like to use when we're talking about relationships or friendships. Within every relationship or friendship, we have a love bank within us. And every time that person does something nice or good for us, it adds to our bank. And every time something's hurtful to us or they say something hurtful, it takes away from our bank. If we're constantly making withdrawals from our partner, then they're gonna be empty and that connection is gonna be harder. And if we're adding to the bank and we're depositing into the bank, and then when things come up that are hard or disagreement, there's more of a foundation, there's more in us that we can fall back on, or to feel like we have that connection with that person. It doesn't totally put us in an empty bank account. So the key here is consistency, making small deposits throughout the day. One big deposit doesn't necessarily erase years of debt. So it's really in those daily choices that we make that add up. And the next metaphor I like to use is particular for people who know music or are musicians. This can be used in a lot of different ways, like maybe art or any skill, but I like to use music because I'm a music therapist, is the difference between knowing something and really like feeling and understanding something. This is where change happens in therapy. If you can like understand why you're doing something, that doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna be able to change it or do anything about it. So if you can understand music, if you know the theory, you know how to build a chord, you know what sounds good together, you can write music, but it doesn't really impact us emotionally unless we like really hear a song that we're like, wow, this is giving me chills, like this has moved me emotionally. So that's where the change happens in therapy, is when we can really like integrate it and feel it emotionally, not just intellectually. And the last metaphor I like to use is called kintsugi. This is the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with gold, making the cracks a part of the piece's history instead of something to hide. In the same way, when we're healing, it's not about erasing the pain or forgetting what happened to us or just like moving on from it. It's about integrating it into our life. How can we take the parts of it that we've learned from and integrate it and not necessarily just like push it away? So what I really like about this is when they're repairing these pots, the idea is to not hide the damage. Like you're not using like glue and then putting it together and you're like, okay, how can we like really seal this up? There's no attempt to hide the crack. It's actually accentuating the crack by making it gold and bright and adds to the beauty of the pot. Those are 5 more of my favorite counseling metaphors. I hope that this was helpful for you, and if you have any metaphors that have really impacted you, I encourage you to comment below. I would love to see them. If you like videos like this and you want to see more, then please like, share, and subscribe. I post videos on Fridays about music therapy, expressive arts, mental health, psychology, counseling, all that fun stuff. So like and subscribe to see more, and thank you for watching. Bye.